Hi everyone, this is Diane, and I'm very pleased to tell you that these journals are completed and I'm going to show them to you today. I put a lot of work into them. They are only one signature, but I don't even know how many pages there are, but I did so much embellishing and decorating of the pages that there's a lot of work in them, and they're kind of fat for my books. This one I'm going to hang on to. If these journals sell, maybe I'll adjust that a little bit. If these journals sell really well, then maybe I'll go ahead and put this in the shop, but I'm just going to hang on to it. I think with 5 of them, they might hang out in the shop for a little while, but you know, surprise me. I'd love it if they just went quickly. I would love that. I do have some stamped pieces here and some digital cards that I may be inserting into. I know that the journals have a couple of empty spots. So let's just get going. I just spent a few minutes putting some beads on the outside because I let the strings be on the outside this time. So I just strung some beads on each one. And now we're going to take a look inside. I don't think I have names for these. Maybe I'll think of a name as we go. I can call this one Merchant Tailor because that's what it says right here. This, I used Blue Fern Studio paper pack called Happy Accident 2. And they're very sturdy, and they have this art journal mixed media collaged look to them. So this looks like it's on graph paper with mixed media and some images, but it was pretty blank here. So I had this lady stamped onto tracing paper or vellum or something, and I did a kind of like a collage stamped thing. It's got the label, and then there's music stamped in yellow. So it was perfect. And then I had this one already stamped also, so I added that to the front. Most of them, there's only one other one that I added to the cover. I did put some muslin, and some of them have it on the outside, some have it on the inside. It just depended on the look of the cover, because I just wanted to reinforce, you know, sometimes these thick papers can crack. And then I use these clear, pretty blue beads. I threaded the blue seam binding through the thread, so if you don't want it, you can just pull it right out. All right, so on the inside, they're double-sided papers, and this one has this pretty pink damask. And, excuse me, I used a satin embroidered trim piece to make a pocket and a stamped label. I did a lot of stamping on copy dyed paper scraps, and I have quite a few pieces that were made with collaged masterboards of bits and pieces I had left over from other projects, and this is a tag that I made. So I did a lot of videos with the stamping, and this came before I started these journals, the masterboard. So I'm going to try to not talk too much during these videos, or during this flip through. I used copy dyed scrapbook paper, and on the front page of each book I used a printed linen piece, and one that was light enough to write on. I added some lace there. So these journals are all about layers. So there are layers here, and the pages themselves are decorated with stenciling and stamping in layers. And the tuck spot here is layered. I did some embossing on this in white embossing powder on this piece, and two stamped pieces. And they're all connected to make a tuck spot. I put in a little senior picture with her signature, her autograph, to Lewis from Barb, and a little miniature printed doily This one also has stenciling and stamping, and then there's a layer here of the German measuring tape paper and some tatting. I made these, I think I made these pockets on a video. Handmade paper, a stamped piece, and some die cuts. And this is the same label that's on, no, it's not. I think some of them have that on the front. And then I stenciled on a flashcard and added some topping and stamped a postcard. Some of the items that I stamped I glued to another coffee dyed piece of paper, and some of them I didn't. So it's just stamped on scrapbook paper, like these. But you can glue them to something to write on. These papers are from Antique Papery, and I was wrong. I had said that I didn't think that they had an Etsy store anymore, but they do. I don't think these papers are in it, but it's Antique Papery, P-A-P-E-R-I-E, and this on the back is from TLC Creates Vintage. It says, "Enjoy every moment." This is a music manuscript paper that I stamped on. I used the same stamps and the same sorts of embellishments in every journal. So here's a little tuck spot that I didn't put anything in, so I'm going to slip this in. I just stamped on this leftover piece of paper. And there's a lot of stenciling and stamping on this page. Here I attached with a paper clip a stamped postcard and a genuine vintage pharmacy label. And this is a bonded stationery page. Here's another layered embellishment. It's just a page edge embellishment. It's Anaglypta, the textured wallpaper, the German measuring tape, script stamp on tracing paper, and a stamped image. Some more stamping here. This is a page from a music box book. I loved this book, and it's almost all gone. Here's another TLC Creates Vintage card, and I sewed it on as a pocket and then just tucked a cute little journaling card in there, stamped that stamp from, I believe it's from a Sam Poole set, and you can see that word there. Another Antique Papery. This is a really, really fun page. It came out of a collection of old papers that I bought, notebooks and things, at a flea market. And there were enough pages to put one in each journal. And the title of it was The Curiosity Department. So it's just a list of questions, and I think they're so interesting. How can air boil? When was the magnetic compass first known in Europe? How are pins made? How can a sound go through a wall? Why does a cat always fall on its feet? And it's just on the one side, so you can journal on this side. But as I mentioned in a video when I was compiling all these pages, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to just turn this whole journal into a curiosity, what did I say it was? The Curiosity something. I just said it. Anyway, it would be really fun. I mean, you could call it the Curiosity Compendium and just write questions that you think of. Have your children come up with some questions and just fill up your book with fun questions, and maybe even look for the answers and write them in. So anyway, this page was torn on the corner, and I added a little doily and a vintage piece that was cut off of a half slip. This is a collage that I glued and sewed onto a piece of vellum. And it's just a whole bunch of little bits. That little calendar piece is from 1943. A little vintage wrapping paper tissue with yellow rose. doily, all kinds of fun things. This is a page from a birthday book. She would write the person's birthday on that date, and then there were some little quotes and poems on it, and I used the springtime pages. This is from an autograph book from 1935. And this is a stamped image. And I left this one plain because you can write, well, I did glue it to another scrapbook paper, but I left the printed side out because you can write on it. And that's a Sam Poole stamp from Creative Expressions. And this page we did spraying. I sprayed on a stencil and then laid the stencil down onto it. Instead of laying the stencil down and then spraying through the stencil. It gives a more watercolory look. And I stamped these things on it. And I did this on a video. I stamped on the doily. Vintage gift wrap. And this has little pockets here. This is a printable doily. So I'll put a stamped piece and a digital piece in there. And then this is another of the collaged pieces from the masterboard, and I added some more elements to it. This is a tab from Louisa Heinzel. She has a whole collection of these tabs. And this is Lorna Taylor's new stamp, that not from Creative Expressions, that she does them at home. She has a machine. And this is a vintage bridge score sheet and a stamped piece. More stamping and collaging. This is stationery, by the way. Another piece that was collaged onto vellum. This is vintage gift wrap. And another page from the autograph book. And a little Cricut cut tag. There's some more questions here. And I did some clusters, just putting some papers together and stapling them. So that's that. And I stamped up there a vintage Victoria Drug Company label. And I made this cluster onto a little strip of muslin. And there is a journal card that I stamped that I didn't back. And another senior picture. Each book got a boy and a girl. Some lace on the edge and a pocket. This pocket happened to be in my stash already made, because I used collaged ones with the masterboard for most of the journals, but I needed a couple more. So I found some that were already made. I was spending so much time on these journals that I didn't want to make more, but I found some that worked really nicely. And this just came out of a children's book, and I love it. I don't know what it pertains to, but it says, "See me sailing with surprise." So you take that and use that as a prompt for a journaling episode. I think it's cute. This is a copy dyed time card, and this is an antique card. It was already bent like this when I got it. So it's love greetings. Every hour of every day, sweet, I think about you. It's just very pretty. You just have to be careful putting it in there. And on the back is another fabric pocket, and I collaged fabric and a little chenille piece on it. And there's a journaling card made with the masterboard, and I just, put some images on that. And if you want to, you can add a tab to that And that's that book. I'll call this one Merchant Tailor. Hopefully I'll find a name for all of these books. This one is Little Bird. Love this. And this one has some clear shaped beads in the back. Has a nice collage-y look to it. And the muslin is on the outside of this one as well. So I don't need to talk as much throughout this one. All the laces are different in the books, the pockets and things. This is a real antique signature that came out of a book, the front of a book. Live your life. We'll tuck this in here. Here is a vintage pharmacy label in French. Some of the pieces that I used for the collages were stamped images that I already had stamped previously and cut out and had in my collection of ephemera. It was nice to be able to use them. Curiosity Department, that's what it's called. It doesn't say that here, but it just popped into my head when I turned this page. Stationery. Some wrapping paper. It's a tissue paper. And I just lightly stamped a little bit on here. This one's a very crunchy page. So it might crumble and break pieces off, but that will just be part of its vintageness. But it's not really vintage, but it looks vintage. And I like that it's kind of wonky and broken up there. It was cracked right here, so I added that stamped piece to it. The bridge score pad. I put one of these bunny cards in every journal because they're so cute and I wanted to make sure everybody got one. Keep moving forward, that one says. Vintage wrapping paper here. I won't take these out every time because they all have the autograph page and the tag and the other things on the other side. They're all the same in these collaged pockets. This is a vintage piece of crochet. I don't know what that stain is on it, but I like the way it looks. The Extract of Vanilla vintage label from Victoria Drug Company. And this one has this really pretty antique card. It's a advertising card or a trade card for ask your grocer for favorite coffee. But it's a really pretty scene. Looks like a cherry blossom branch and a boat coming between some rocks there. fabric pocket with a collage. So, little bird. Next, Distinguished Gentleman, because he's right there. And this one has some beads, some yellowish, whitish beads. There's some touches of peach, so I used the peach ribbon. I like the alphabet down here. This one was torn, and I added a wide piece of vintage tape. This came off of a book or something that I had bought. I don't need to pull those out. They're the same. The Vintage Pharmacy label in French. Now this one, I am going to pull them out because I made this one too wide, so it would be really hard to get things in and out. So I made it a top pocket, but it still has the same items in it. The birthday book page and the autograph book page. I didn't stamp on this piece. The pages, even though I've used the same stamps, they look different because of the background. They're all different. That's a pretty cluster. This has a little piece from a ledger that was from 1918. A Victoria Glycerin and Rose Water label. And the back card is an antique bird. Just a pretty card. I love that picture. And this is another one of the pockets that was in my stash. So, Distinguished Gentleman. This one is called Pink Roses, because for obvious reasons. This one is my favorite cover because of the pink and the roses. It just looks so feminine and beautiful. And I love the newsprint on top of it. And it has some pretty pink beads, translucent. Oh, this one is the first one I did, and I did not make that a pocket. So I'll just clip this to it. I'll clip it to this side. I have a copper paper clip right here to make it prettier. And another French pharmacy receipt and a Tiffany & Co. stamped piece. pretty stationary here. There are some flowers here, very pale. You'll see more of them on the other side. Wrapping paper or a drawer liner. This one already has some cards in it, but is that what I just put in? Oh, yeah, that's what I paper clipped there. So I'm just going to put in a digital card like the other ones have. Glycerin and rose water. And this card is a really beautiful scene with a rainbow and water lilies, forget-me-nots and butterflies, and it has a little, I think it's not a scripture. Well, it does, yeah, it does have a scripture right here. And then just part of a hymn, I think, or a poem. Any of the tape that you see is actual vintage tape that I glued down. So, pink roses. And this one will be called Ville de Saint Denis. And this one was kind of blank, so that's why I added that, and then this little piece of vintage stuff that came off that same half slip. It's just really, really pale and beautiful, the collaging on this one. It's got some pink and yellows and a little bit of blue. This is a vintage insurance company ledger. Pharmacy label. This is that music box page, but it's just typing here, so this would be a great place for you to do some collaging or put some pictures, glue some paper to write on. And here we have a trade card for Chadwick's Spool Cotton, children picking up apples. And it's definitely in vintage shape. It's not torn. It's got a little bend right there. It's actually pretty good. And this pocket is made from flannel. I just had a very small piece of that, and this piece of it was curved, so I kept the curve and accented it with some lace. Okay, so I know that I pronounced it with an English pronunciation, but that's the name of the book. And pink roses. American pronunciation, I should say. Distinguished Gentleman, Little Bird, and Merchant Tailor. I hope you like these books, and these are in my shop right now. I should have said that right at the beginning, but I'm thinking with 5 of them, they won't just disappear so quickly, and people will have more of a chance. But if you want to buy them quickly, I will not object. You go for it, and I'm okay with it. And my next journal project is going to be really fun and springy, and I hope that you'll come back to see what that might be. I'll see you soon. Have a creative day. Bye-bye.